Diamonds are a highly coveted gemstone and are found in various places around the world, including Africa, Asia, North and South America. We've already made a video here that shows 7 places that are open to the public where you can find diamonds and other gemstones such as rubies, opals, and sapphires, as well as other videos where I show you firsthand what indicates the presence of diamonds in a particular region. For example, garnets, diopside, mica, white quartz, kimberlite fragments, and other minerals that indicate the presence of diamonds. And in case you didn't know, one of the most accessible places to look for these indications I just mentioned is in rivers, including those that have dried up. And here's why. If you take a diamond and a river rock of the same size, the diamond is going to be much heavier. So as much as the current has the power to carry the diamonds for miles downstream, at some point that diamond is going to end up sinking between the river rocks and getting buried in the gravel. And I say that because you can find diamonds anywhere along a river, as long as you look in the alluvial deposits, better known as alluvial fans. In other words, to simplify things, these alluvial deposits are the gravel that accumulates in the riverbeds and bends of rivers. But despite all this, people still have doubts about how to find and identify real diamonds in nature. No wonder, because finding diamonds, although rewarding, is not an easy task, as they are rare gems since their formation depends on extreme pressure and temperature conditions. However, many of the places where diamonds can be found have never been explored. So in today's video, I'm going to answer all of your questions. So stick with me for a few more seconds, because this video is going to change the way you look at things, so that you have the knowledge necessary to find out if there might be diamonds in the rivers in your region. Before you start, you need to identify the diamond indicators, which I'll explain in more detail. To start prospecting, all you need are sieves, which is certainly the easiest and cheapest way to start looking for diamonds. If you can get your hands on 3 or 6 different size sieves, you're good to go. But now let's talk a little more about the most accessible place to find a diamond, which is alluvial deposits. And to do that, you have to identify the minerals that are present in these places. Just look at how they are full of stones and gravel, sand and silt. That's where diamonds can get trapped, often buried by all that material because of their high density. So if you use the sifters that I've mentioned here on this river, you may be able to find a diamond or some other rare mineral like rubies and sapphires. And as I've said in other videos, these alluvial deposits were usually formed millions of years ago. And that's why diamonds and other precious minerals like gold and titanium can be buried in this alluvial gravel. Now answer me a question. Have you ever seen this type of gravel in a river in your area? If the answer is yes, then stay tuned, because there is certainly a possibility of finding diamonds in your area. But don't get me wrong, the goal of this channel is to encourage you to develop this incredible and therapeutic hobby that keeps you in touch with nature. As I've said before, diamonds are hard to find, but this is the kind of information that can change your financial life forever if you find a good diamond in the wild. But the best diamonds are found in underground mines. And now you may be asking yourself, but how am I supposed to find a diamond in a river? Well, let me show you. Look at this rock here. This is the famous kimberlite rock. If you find one of these rocks in your area, there's a good chance you'll find diamonds nearby. These kimberlite rocks are nothing more than lava that comes from the Earth's mantle through volcanic eruptions. In this process, the diamonds that are formed in this region end up being brought along with this lava, which when it cools, ends up trapping the diamonds inside. However, over the course of thousands of years, the forces of nature end up fragmenting some of the kimberlite rocks, releasing the diamonds trapped inside. The diamonds are carried by the wind, torrential rains and downpours to the rivers, where they are deposited in the riverbeds or even on the beach. In the same way, diamonds that have been detached from a kimberlite by erosion and fallen into the riverbed can be carried to the beach by the current of the water. But what about diamonds found in rivers? Well, that's where you're going to need those sieves I mentioned earlier. You're going to find a clean spot with no rocks around, then you're going to dig up the earth a bit to remove the gravel from the alluvial deposits, and you're going to start sifting the material. Start with the largest sieve and work your way down to the smallest, always keeping the smallest sieve under the largest so that the material that passes through the mesh of the largest sieve is caught in the smallest sieves. If you can get 5 or 6 degrees of screen, that would be even better. But let's assume for the moment that you're in an actual river with flowing water. How will you know the rough shape of a diamond in nature? Well, diamonds found in underground mines have a hexagonal shape with 6 sides like this. However, diamonds found in alluvial deposits, whether in dry rivers or flowing rivers, are rounder than diamonds taken directly from kimberlites. Diamonds found in rivers look like a semi-polished stone. Despite being the hardest mineral on Earth, they also suffer from the effects of thousands of years of wear and tear from friction with the other stones in the river. But then you may be thinking, that's not enough. I need more information. How can I tell a diamond from other common stones? It's easier than it sounds. There is one characteristic that only diamonds have, and that is their metallic luster. Take a look at the difference in luster between a rough diamond and other common stones. Can you see how metallic a diamond's luster is? I'm sure that if you find a diamond after watching this video, you will have no doubts. Of course, you'll need to do further tests to certify the diamond, but learning to look closely at the metallic luster of diamonds is more than enough. It may be hard to notice at first, but over time, by watching the videos here on the channel, you'll become familiar with the metallic luster of diamonds. If you look at a diamond from a distance, it will look like a piece of polished iron, not a stone. So if you notice something glittering in the gravel of the alluvial deposits, it's a good idea to start sifting. If you're lucky enough to find a diamond, it's likely to be quite small, so try finer sieves if possible. Another important factor now is the presence of minerals that indicate there are diamonds in the river. The ones I mentioned at the beginning of the video, because not every river is going to have diamonds. So how do you know if the river you're working in actually has diamond potential? In rivers that do contain diamonds, you'll usually find some specific indicator minerals, mainly garnet, chromite, and ilmenite. In previous videos, I've talked about several different indicator minerals, but these 3 are more than enough for you to get started. Garnet, for example, is a gemstone that is much more common and cheaper than diamonds and is sometimes confused with rubies. However, there are some clear differences. The most common type found in rivers is pyrrhic-garnet, which has a dark reddish color, sometimes slightly grayish. And you usually find them in rivers as rounded grains, sometimes almost cubic, with several sides often semi-polished by the water. Like rubies and diamonds, garnets are quite heavy compared to ordinary stones of the same size. Some clear crystals can be beautifully cut and end up being worth a good amount of money. But what really matters here is that you learn to recognize and find these stones. Because garnets are formed in volcanic rocks under conditions similar to those in which diamonds form, they can indicate that diamonds are present in the area, just like ilmenite. Ilmenite is basically an oxide of iron and titanium. This mineral is black with a metallic luster. Its crystal system is trigonal, and it can show some small facets. It looks like a piece of raw iron, is very heavy, has a hardness of about 6 on the Mohs scale, and is a strong indication that diamonds may be present. Some ilmenites can even be mistaken for black diamonds at first glance. The third important indicator is chromite. Chromite is also a type of iron oxide, but it contains iron, chromium, and other mineral combinations. It has a darker metallic appearance and tends to be more irregular in shape, more rustic than ilmenite. Chromite grains are also very heavy, much heavier than other stones of the same size. In the palm of your hand, it will feel like a small piece of lead. Here we have dunite, which is this one, and chromite, which is this one. They are very similar in color at first glance. Dunite, when it is very fresh, usually has a greenish-black color, whereas chromite is more of a deep, pure black. Finding chromite in rivers is also a strong indication of the presence of diamonds, as well as sapphires and rubies. Once you've reached this point and identified these minerals, you know you're in the right kind of environment. Now that you've found these minerals, the next question is, how do you get them out of the river in a practical way? Well, you put some river gravel in the sieve and then you make circular movements, turning the sieve, because diamonds are heavy, more so than other stones, and they'll end up at the bottom of the gravel, along with garnets, ilmenites, and chromites if there are any, including gold, if there's any in the river. With these circular movements, the heavier minerals will concentrate in the middle, and then you just have to repeat this process from the coarsest screen to the finest, just as I told you at the beginning of the video. At the end, just spread out the gravel from the sieve and look carefully, because now you're going to have to see the diamond with your own eyes. But how do you do that in practice? Diamonds don't have the same luster as ordinary quartz crystals, so don't be fooled by stones just because they are transparent. Look for the metallic sheen I showed you earlier, because it will definitely catch your eye even from a distance. Diamonds are usually very small, so keep your eyes sharp to make sure you don't miss them. Don't be fooled by big stones, and when I say big, I mean anything over a gram, which is already quite big for a natural diamond. One more important point: when you find your first diamond, remember that it won't always be a high-quality stone. There are darker colored diamonds that have a lower value and others full of inclusions that will only serve as industrial diamonds. But even if you find a low-quality diamond, that's already a reason to celebrate, because it means you're on the right track. The place has real diamonds, and it's worth continuing to search. Even if diamonds are not easy to find, it doesn't hurt to try. You never know when your lucky day will come, do you? But before you rush out to start searching for rocks that could be worth a fortune, there's one last thing you need to know. A lot of people out there do find stones with serious value, but because they don't know how to properly identify the mineral type, they either ignore it or worse, sell it for a fraction of what it's really worth. Unfortunately, this happens all the time. Valuable minerals and even gemstones being sold for ridiculous prices simply because the person holding them didn't recognize what they had. That's exactly why I created the book Gemology Journey for Beginners, available on Amazon. Straightforward and practical guide made for anyone who wants to learn how to identify the most common types of gems and minerals, even without professional tools. Inside, you'll learn how to perform simple tests for hardness, density, texture, and luster using everyday tools. With this knowledge, you won't need to rely on anyone else's opinion to know what you found. You'll be able to analyze your discoveries with confidence and maybe even turn this skill into a side income or long-term investment. And if your goal isn't to sell, no problem. The book also includes an exclusive collector's chart listing some of the world's valuable minerals, their characteristics, rarity levels, and practical tips to organize your finds as your collection grows. Now, if you're still taking your first steps or just not ready to grab the book yet, that's perfectly fine. You can subscribe for free right here on the channel and keep following the next video about the best places to search in your region. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Good luck, Gem Hunter.